Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nick Rosilaini. I will be presenting a topic, a conceptual study on theoretical related to crisis management in the tourism industry. Okay, my name is Nick Rosilaini Wan Muhammad. I'm a lecturer of Faculty Hotel and Tourism Management from University Technology Mara Melaka, Malaysia. Okay, I will explain a little bit on the background of the studies. Okay, crisis tourism is a crucial for tourism industry resilience and the survival in the current unpredictable tourism business environment. And the tourism industry are constantly exposed to a range of crises, which is including the geographical crisis. For example, as happened in tsunami in Japan last week, and we have some technological failures, financial downturn, reputational scandals, and public health emergencies. Those that can be effectively managed, these crises are better positioned to minimize the negative impact, maintain stakeholder trust, swiftly recover normal operation as soon as possible. And crisis consists of controllable and uncontrollable factors, and this is important for the organization to have a comprehensive crisis management policy in place to address this situation. So because of this situation, I come up with a few statement problems. For example, number one, the problem statement is there is a lack of information and understanding about the implementation and performance of tourism crisis policy in outdoor recreation industry in Malaysia. Okay, number two, the lack of information create a gap in knowledge and hinder the industry ability to effectively manage and respond to crisis. And without a clear understanding of the current state of the crisis management practice and their effectiveness, it is difficult for industry leaders to identify the area of improvement and implement necessary change. And then we have the policy content meaningfulness, which need to fully investigate and evaluate it to ensure they are a comprehensive, relevant, aligned with the current needs and challenge for the outdoor recreation industry in Malaysia. The contents of crisis policy comprise of a few elements, which is including the guideline, the protocols, the communication strategies, the training program, and the condition with relevant to the government and non-government um, organizations. Okay, due to the problem that had been mentioned earlier, the government have come up with a guideline, which is Garis Panduan Perancangan Tapak Perkhemahan, which is currently just launched early this years. So it was imposed to the outdoor recreation operators to follow these guidelines. So the question is, the question of this study that to be investigated will be the following. Uh, the impact of outdoor leaders' understanding of the contents of this guideline or the policies of this guideline, which is GP035. GP stands for Garis Panduan. So how they understand the content, and then the impact of the leaders understanding the content and the level of their commitment to fulfill the requirements under this guideline, and then how the outdoor recreation operators level of acceptance, their level of acceptance in receiving this kind or these types of guideline, and then we have how effective the performance of these guidelines in terms of implementation performance. Okay, I will explain the scope of crisis management. If you really look at this slide, there's a lot of explanation on a crisis management, which is a very difficult to focus which one we are supposed to start with, which are supposed to take it seriously. And because of this what I call holistic approach of crisis management, there's a lot of basic they come up with most of researcher come up with a lot of basic concept. So they are very it depends on what kind of crisis they are handling. So different country have a different kind of crisis. So I'll explain some basic. Okay, this is some information about crisis management. Basic concept is normally they are focusing on the social economic status. Okay, okay, the the location of the crisis with it, whether it is urban or rural, um, whether it's located at the environment or residential property, uh, types of infrastructure and their lifelines, and how the family structure within that population. For example, the urban area or the rural area, is it a segregated area, or where or very packed residential area? So types of education level within the crisis area, the population education level and the population growth, the numbers of medical services available within the areas, uh, the level of social dependence. Okay, normally a high family or community dependence on social service implies some marginalization and the needs for extra support. And we have a special need populations, a special affirm, institutionalized, transition, and homeless, which are a very high risk of being neglected in the crisis or during the recovery period. Okay, this example, which is already happened in overseas. So when we talk about the crisis management in Malaysia, is some kind of a very new scenario. So we are still searching the the best mechanism how to resolve and how to handle crisis management in our country. Okay, I continue with the next slide. Since that my limitation of study is only focused on the outdoor recreation industry. So I try to define the definitions of outdoor recreation industry. So it comes to outdoor recreation industry, there's a few elements, which is the leisure, the tourism, the business, the non-active recreation, the serious leisure and outdoor recreation. So it comes to my study, I am more on the leisure travel industry. So which is comprised of an active and non-active visitors or recreationists. Okay. So the next slide. Okay. Okay. The types of assessment. Okay. If you look at the 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 the, the next slide, which is consists of risk assessment and risk management. So basically, when you talk about risk or crisis assessment or crisis management, so my study is basically focused on the crisis management, which is more on the policy base. I'm not going to study on the science base. I'm going to study on the policy base, and then followed by the crisis or risk communication, which involve the interactive exchange of information and opinion concerning the crisis. So the above is the interactive planning and communication. There is two types of assessment basically, which is a qualitative analysis. Another one is a quantitative assessment. So my study will be focusing on the quantitative analysis, how the respondent respond to the crisis planning, and how they are monitoring and controlling the situation. Okay, next slide, the research question and research objective, which is number one research question is what types of recreation industry leaders, decision making, a significant effect on the tourism crisis management acceptance, what level of knowledge management leaders practice for the crisis management, what collaboration strategies are employed by leaders in the tourism industry, and the last one, what are the tourism crisis implementation performance metrics that can be used to evaluate the effectiveness of the crisis management resilience. So my research objective is to determine the specific leaders' influence the acceptance of tourism crisis management, to assess the level of knowledge management practice among leaders, to analyze the collaboration strategies implemented by leaders in the tourism industry during the crisis, and the last one, to identify the established performance metric to evaluate the effectiveness of crisis management resilience in the tourism sectors. Okay, now then I focus on geographical gap. Okay, we're talking about gap. The study we're focusing on the geographical gap, which is different state will have different types of crisis handling. So I'll go further on the different. Normally we have the GP one GP 39 is more on standardized guideline. So I will try to get the information based on different states point of view. So I try to get leaders from outdoor recreation industry from not only one state but multiple states in order to get their feedback on this guideline. So are they accept or they reject about this guideline, or maybe a minor rejection, or maybe a partly rejection, or it could be what do you call it um, major rejection. Depends on the 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 the, the, the gap in the different state. Okay, this is my sampling respondent. Okay, based on the ecotourism clusters. So according to the ecotourism clusters proposed by tourism ministry, we have 60s, but I only choose a few from this state. So for the theoretical, I'll be applying a contextual interaction theory. Contextual interaction theory, which is known as CIT, is a theoretical framework that suggests that successful crisis management performance depends on the how complicated social and cultural context. So how dynamite the interaction among various sectors and the institution involved in the process. As mentioned by few authors here, Minang, Brasses. So CIT can provide a valuable insight into the factor that may influence the success or failure of the crisis reduction or implementation effort in the context of outdoor recreation industry. Okay, I show you the theoretical framework for the studies. Okay, this is a study framework, model of crisis policy implementation, performance. From the study framework, which is mentioned earlier, I come up with a few hypotheses, which is a crisis content meaningfulness has a significant effect on a crisis implementation performance. A crisis content meaningfulness has a significant effect of commitment. Crisis content meaningfulness has a significant effect on crisis deduction in outdoor recreation industry. Leadership style has a significant effect on crisis policy acceptance. And also, leadership style has a significant effect on commitment and collaboration. And leadership style has a significant effect on the policy implementation performance. Hypothesis 8, policy acceptance has a significant effect on policy implementation performance. Followed by hypothesis 9, commitment has a significant effect on policy implementation. And last hypothesis is collaboration has a significant effect on the policy implementation performance. Okay, that's all for my presentation, and thank you for listening.